everyone, and welcome back to another episode of We're Watching Star Trek, the original series. As always, I am Brandon, still a little bit under the weather, and up early today for a nice early recording. Paul's kind of here.
Yo, people. Let's hope my voice isn't all graggly and with all that bass, but another episode, let's get to it.
And Dan's a freak of nature and is always up early anyway, so he's definitely here.
I'll take that as a compliment, so howdy, everyone.
And today we are covering Season 1, Episode 23, A Taste of Armageddon.
Hold on, I thought it was Episode 22.
I think we're 23, right?
23.
Yeah, we're 23.
We're about to find out if I watched the right episode.
No, Khan was 22.
Yeah, Khan was 22.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man.
We should be good.
Guys, we were just going to soldier through anyway, and you were just going to have to compare the one you watched to the one that we watched. It's going to be a very terrible podcast episode. Dan, what was the original air date for this?
July 7th, 1969.
Close. You were really close. February 23rd, 1967. My notes say February 23rd, because I had it 22nd and it wasn't right, and I never fixed the ND, so it's 23rd. Yeah, the old 23rd of February.
I know that day.
Yeah, we start off with a captain's log, surprisingly, as the Enterprise is moving towards Star Cluster NGC 32, or sorry, 32-1, I was going to say, 321. Holy hell, it is early today. And they're on their way to some diplomatic relations with a civilization, a couple civilizations in that star cluster. And they sent a message ahead to a Miniar 7 to tell of their friendly intentions. But they haven't received a reply yet. And I actually had an issue with this episode where there were no English subtitles. I didn't have a choice for that. And the subtitles have been really helpful for names of places and people. And so I had to pick between French, German, and I don't remember what the third one was. It wasn't even Spanish. It was something crazy. So I picked German and had to decipher names from that.
Wait a minute. Seriously? You didn't have subtitles?
Yeah, for some reason, just this episode has no English subtitles. I don't understand why.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Paramount did not give me the option for English subtitles.
You need to turn your VPN off.
Wow, that's weird.
And I think the options were like French, German, and Italian or something. It was really weird. Like not even Spanish. They could have gave me
random thing to tell you, by the way. If that happens again, turn the closed caption on something. I think that's what you can do.
It's on the PC. Huh? Yeah, I don't have that option.
Like me on TV. Oh, see, that's what I forgot about that. You're a PC guy.
Yeah, they didn't even give me the option for the Queen's English. That would have been great. Just like English text with a British accent.
Wow, I've never known that. That's very strange to me not to have English subtitles. That's very, very weird.
Yeah, it was the only episode, so I did my best to pick the names out of these, like Eminiar. But yeah, they have an ambassador on the bridge with them on the Enterprise, and Uhura tells Kirk that they've received a code 710 reply, which means that they are not to approach the planet under any circumstances.
No, by the way, I want to remember that code if it comes in place again, because I thought it was kind of interesting that they had a code for that.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if they if that kind of stuff persists through the series, like if it comes up again, if they kept that continuity. But Ambassador Fox is just like every other person they've had on the ship, and he's an asshole. So he tells them to just disregard the message.
Dude, first note, ambassadors always jerks.
Yeah, everybody they've had on there.
Have we found a good, respectful ambassador yet, or they just uppity like jerks always?
Yeah, every person that they have on that ship is just a dick. Like every one of them.
Yeah,
which is weird because they're supposed to be promoting peace, but they're total assholes. That's who I want negotiating for me.
You know who they are? Think about it this way. They're the supervisors of the they won't get the joke. They're the supervisors out there. Now you understand what everybody says are the way they are.
Yeah, they're the do as I say, not as I do guys.
Yeah, supervisor. So like I'm thinking of it that way now, but still at the same time it's like they're always in a bad mood. Like always. Follow orders or else.
Yeah, and that's exactly what this guy is too.
Yep.
And he says that they need to continue on with their mission to get a treaty with the planet that they're going to stop some bloodshed that has occurred there for thousands of years. And Kirk warns them that by getting involved, they may be getting involved with an interplanetary war, and Fox is aware of it, and he just doesn't give a shit. And he orders them to proceed and says that he, basically says, hey, I outrank you, Kirk, so you have to do what I say. So they do. He leaves the bridge, and Spock suggests to Kirk that they warn the crew, and he gets on the intercom to do so everybody on the ship is aware of what's happening. And then we get the show opening from there. And come back to a captain's log that just says that they're orbiting Amini R7 and that they're preparing to beam down. And Spock and Kirk are talking about the civilization, and Spock says that they're an advanced civilization and they have spaceflight capabilities, but they've never ventured beyond their own solar system. And he says that they were first contacted 50 years ago, and they were at war with their closest neighbor, and that the USS Valiant that made the initial report failed to return from its mission, and it's listed as missing in space. And I thought that was going to be something that maybe came up again later, but it just never did. Like,
I actually thought that 50 years ago, I thought the ambassador may have been like the son of one of the people on that ship. That I could accept. I thought about that at first. I thought, it must be his mother, dad, or uncle, or somebody who was on that ship that disappeared 50 years ago.
Yeah, like maybe he's going there to escalate things and get one of the civilizations destroyed, or both of them, maybe.
That would have been a better tie-in if they would have made the Admiral have some kind of connection to those planets. Dang, I didn't think about that.
I have this thing where I try to think big picture a lot, and I popped in my head immediately. I thought, of course he has a family member that died 50 years ago when that thing happened, and that's why he's such a jerk. He's just not doing it for no reason. But no, he's just a jerk for no reason.
Yeah, he's just a jerk for no reason. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he just jerked to be a jerk because he can. Like, I'm better than you. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah. That would have made his character more redeeming.
Yeah,
and more interesting.
Yeah, because we have a habit of the show. I don't want to go on a big rant, but we have this show where we have these ambassadors and right there. They come with the impactful power or whatever, but their character is never built and is very wasted.
Yeah,
they're like this imaginary big bad over the whole situation. Like, we one of the big bads of the episodes, but they're kind of irrelevant. I wish that they would spend more time building those characters up, or having the same ambassador come. And then, it's the same guy doing this journey or something, instead of random ambassadors that don't seem like they're just for that stupid, like, do what I say or else.
Right. Yeah. A little bit of character development could go a long way with these guys.
Yep.
But Ambassador Fox comes back to the bridge, and he wants to know why Kirk is going down to the planet alone. And Kirk says, well, I'm not an idiot. I'm taking my stupid ass security force. And he says that he can't risk beaming Fox down until he knows how they're going to be received, because they really haven't heard anything besides stay away. So he might show up and they just might start shooting at him.
Which makes sense.
Right. And Spock tells Kirk that they're going to beam to a site near an official establishment, and that there's been no hostility towards them, and really no notice taken of them at all, which is really strange because they were scanned going in, and then basically they just got ignored. So Kirk leaves Scotty in command, which was really surprising to me. And he takes his security team and Spock, and they go pick up some phasers, and then they go down to the transporter room. So we get Captain Scotty.
Is this the second or third time Scotty's been in charge now?
We answered that question. We're talking about that today, about who would be in charge if
we talked about it.
We had the conversation.
Yeah,
we talked about it. We kept saying, I said Scotty. I think you guys might have said Bones. Somebody else might have said Bones. I was like, no, I think it's Scotty, because I think it's. But he has to be charged engineering too. But I never thought. I remember saying it was Scotty.
Yeah,
so it kind of stuck with me.
Because for a while it was just Kirk would go, and then Spock would be in charge, and then Spock would go, and they didn't really show anything happening on the ship at that time. So yeah, now we firmly we know for sure that Scotty is the guy, because he was in charge for a little bit a couple of episodes ago. I forget which one it was, but yeah, he's the dude.
Foreshadowing a good choice, by the way.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like somebody just went, hey, this is a pretty solid idea. We should leave Scotty in charge for a full episode. But they beam down to the planet, and they get met by a woman, Kirk's type, blonde hair, blue eyes, and a couple of
very attractive.
Yep, attractive
dressed
lady.
a lot better than what the guys are.
Yeah, yes. She's got a couple of security crew wearing some pretty sweet helmets.
The outfit kind of reminded me of Demolition Man, how how ridiculous it was. And I was like, you know what? I like these things. And then every time I watch this, I keep thinking about something I want to be for Halloween. And right now, this is one.
That's God.
like this is so amazing.
Can you wear that to work?
Oh yeah, I can. We'll see.
I'm looking forward to that.
Right now. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, this is hilarious. I like this outfit. It's so stupid.
Yeah, so the woman tells her two security guards to treat the crew of the Enterprise correctly and nothing more. She specifically says, and nothing more. So, like, be nice to them, but don't be super nice to them. So,
don't give them a high five.
Yeah, like, don't offer them a drink. Just, make sure they're not thirsty, but don't offer them anything. Yeah, so they beam down, and Kirk obviously immediately notices the woman, and he introduces himself. And the woman says that, hey, I know who you are. And she introduces herself as Mia 3 or Maya 3. So she gets a sweet number.
3.
Yeah, she gets a really cool number, like she's a robot. And she compliments Kirk and his crew on their instrumentation and says that they beam directly into the Division of Control. And then she leads them away, which their planet is really nice. They do. We've had I think maybe 2 or 3 times now where they beam down into like an outside corridor area, and it's always really well designed. Like just really cool futuristic like buildings.
So far, this is the best future-looking planet we've seen so far, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I like how they do that. But one thing they also do that I noticed is every planet has its own design. Like they really went crazy with it.
Right.
Like you never feel like it's the same place everywhere you go.
Yeah, so they go into a corridor, and I don't know if it's Mia or Maya. I don't remember. I think they actually said it 2 different ways in the show too, and that didn't help. I think she introduced herself as Mia, and Kirk kept calling her Maya. So I don't.
Let's go with Mia.
Yeah,
I like Mia.
And it's spelled MEA, and then the number 3. So I'm just gonna call her Mia. But she questions Kirk on why he came to the planet after being told to stay away. And he's just like, well, I had orders, so I had to come here. And she tells him that there's danger there. And then she leads the crew to meet with the High Council. So they enter the council room, and Kirk introduces himself and Spock. And then we actually get the names of the security people that are with him, which are Lieutenant Galloway, Lieutenant Osborne, and Yeoman Tamura. Still no Janice Rand. She's been gone for 10 episodes now.
What happened to her?
Yeah, I've no clue.
Did she leave the show at this point, or I would say 10 episodes ago?
I'm going to go with Kirk got her pregnant, and they're trying to keep her.
Gone,
I like that theory.
She's on maternity leave.
Yeah, it's really weird because she got a bunch of character development early on, and then they just stopped using her. Like it's like they just forgot about her. We actually have not seen her since the Romulan thing. That was the last time we saw her.
Also, this is our first time seeing this yeoman because I don't recognize it either.
Yeah.
And then once again, I bring up the diversity of this show, man. Male, females, race, things like that, especially for its time, is just crazy to me. I just I noticed it. I noticed because I expected it to be different.
Yeah.
And it's so diverse and it's crazy.
Well, actually, what
really
caught me off guard is I don't know where she's from, but she had a very clear Asian accent. Which means that it's not a case of they just had an Asian American, born in the U.S. of Asian descent. They actually got someone from another country, which is huge for that time period.
I'm assuming Star Trek broke a lot of barriers that we're unaware of in history and stuff like that we're going to watch on here and touch on things like that. They're going to notice things that we won't notice anywhere else. So
right,
just going to throw out there, I'm a fan of this yeoman.
Oh yes. Yes, I'm a fan of her also. Let's keep her back.
Yeah.
Bring her back.
Yep. See, Janice who now?
Kirk already forgot about Janice.
So Kirk explains his diplomatic mission, and the lead council member named Anan says he's Anan 7, so he also has a number. And he says that their mission is impossible because we got a war. And they can't have peace during a war because then there wouldn't be a war. And Spock's like, well, hey, I don't see any evidence of war. And Anan says that they lose 1 to 3 million people a year from direct enemy attack, which how do they even have a population anymore? That's a hell of a lot of people.
500 years, that's a lot of freaking people.
Yeah, and the other weird thing is their time frame for the war, at one point they said it's been going on for 1,000 years, and then they say it's been going on for 500 years. So I don't know. But either way, yeah, by this point, they would be exhausted of people. Nobody would be left.
Well, what's the birth rate of their world? What's the birth rate of America every day?
I don't know, but I know it's currently shrinking. So
okay, so I know but if they're losing 3 million a year, that's not that many people. Like it sounds like a lot of people, but I swear, like 3 million. If we lost 3 million people on Earth, which we probably do all the time, I don't think it's that much of a people. That many people. It sounds bigger, like a number back then to them, but to me personally, 3 million doesn't sound like that many people.
But over a span of 500 years, though, that would add up.
Oh, shit. Okay, Paul, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Just a super quick Google search says that we lose on Earth around 60 million people a year total.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, so 3 million people is like a speck. I'm like, oh, that's
you're right. I didn't think we lost that many, but holy shit.
That kind of blows my mind.
And they said yearly, right?
Yeah,
I think the show said 3 million a year, so I'm like, that's not really that many people.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a huge number back then, but I'm thinking in my terms like that's not that many people at all.
But I guess it also depends on how big their planet is. If they're living on like a King Kai sized planet, 3 million a year is a shit ton of people. But if they're living on a fucking big chonky planet, then nothing.
But here's my thing. Here's my thing though, random. So as advanced as their society is, I can only truly believe that they must live longer. Therefore, that planet has to be full of people. Like they should be living as long as we are, as smart as they looking at what Kepler's
at least.
So I'm gonna guess the average of 80 to 90 years, or whatever, besides this war. So I'm assuming that planet is covered in people.
Yeah, probably.
Or they're just like rabbits, and they just reproduce like crazy.
Yeah, and I don't think that they're technically human, so maybe they can have more than one kid every 9 months. Maybe they pop out litters of kids. They have like 5 at a time. That'd be fucking terrible. That's a nightmare. I'm gonna stop thinking about that,
dude. Oh my god, we haven't had any like crazy stuff like that. Yeah, that'd be interesting. That'd be funny.
Nightmare scenario. Fuck that.
Or everybody's twins in the whole planet.
Oh god, that's why they have numbers, and they all get the same name, and they just get a fucking number.
I'm Mia 3. I'm Mia 2.
Yeah, that's my sister Mia 2.
My sister. Yeah. Why are you with my sister? I thought it was you.
Man, your children grow up messed up like, oh, mom and dad name me number 1.
Yeah, that's why you're number 2, because you're shit.
You're number 2. I'm better than you. How do we get here every episode? Oh my goodness.
We get there somehow. So Anon goes on to say that as long as the Enterprise orbits their planet, that it is in danger from the planet Vendikar, which sounds like a Magic the Gathering planet, and it's the 3rd planet in their system. And he says that they're highly advanced. They were originally a settlement of their own people, but that they broke off and went to war for some reason. But then an alarm starts to sound, and these huge doors behind them start to open, and the council members are all excuse themselves, and they say that Vendikar is attacking, so they're going to this kind of war room where there are a bunch of computers and stuff. And Mia says that there's nowhere to take shelter, so they're just kind of screwed, but that they're going to have to retaliate from this attack immediately. And she goes and looks at a map on a screen, and then like a little light, like a circular light, shines on part of it. And she's like, oh man, there's been a direct hit in the city. But Kirk and Spock note that there was no explosion or really any other sound, and really nothing's going on. So Spock asks Yeoman Tamura for a tricorder reading of any radiation, but she doesn't get anything. So Kirk is just like, hey, Mia, what weapons are the enemy using? And she says that they materialize fusion bombs over their targets, which I didn't think about that. Like a war in this timeline must be insane when you can literally fucking transport anything anywhere. Like you can just put a fucking bomb like in somebody's kitchen and just be super accurate.
I never even thought about that. Oh my gosh. Oh man.
And especially a fusion bomb?
Like just nothing is safe.
What an awesome Star Trek like visual that would be. It's war, but they're transporting bombs around the city to make them explode immediately.
Well, God, I'd imagine though, if that's the case, like whoever opens up the war, like the aggressor, which is normally the bad guy, probably wins most of the time, because if they just transport a bunch of shit like into places, like strategic places, you could just cripple somebody before they even know what's going on.
But I'm assuming that they have maybe they'll have shield defenses where people can't just drop stuff on them. Or, people can transport through. Like, they got this shit. Sometime in this show, that episode where we can't transport because some kind of shield interference.
Exactly. Yeah, that would have to be like their only defense from just getting outright, fucked up.
I want to put a side note in here for you guys. We should try to work this into one of our episodes, series that we want to write.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Of the transporter bomb.
Yeah, that's a terrifying thought. I can go in the detective one, I think. Have to figure out who did it. Yeah.
He's trying to investigate a crime and trying to figure out who made the bomb. They couldn't find out they're the first people who came up with a transporter bomb.
Or they bombed themselves to start a war with somebody else and take their land.
Yep. Hey.
Governments be crazy.
False flag.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So Kirk, he calls Scotty on the Enterprise and he's like, "Hey, what's going on up there? Do you see anything on your scanners?" And Scotty says, "I don't see shit, dude." And then Kirk hangs up on him. So the councilmen point to the screen and they say that the enemy was warned and that just as they were 50 years ago, and then Anon wants some security attachment people to be alerted, which I don't know. I don't understand the significance of saying like, "Oh yeah, they were warned just like 50 years ago," because nothing ever comes of that. Like, warned of what? So I don't fucking know. But Kirk tells Anon that they've been monitoring the situation and they don't see any indication of an attack. And Anon says, "Well, 500,000 people were just killed, and I have orders," or he orders a counterattack. It'd be really cool if I could talk today. Spock.
Sorry,
Spock,
that's my fault.
You son of a bitch. Spock tells Kirk that they seem to fight their wars totally with computers, and Kirk argues that computers don't kill people, guns kill people. No, he doesn't actually say that. And Anon says that the deaths have all been registered and that the people that have died have 24 hours to report to the disintegration machines. And I was like, oh my God, I see what's happening here, and it's fucking nuts.
Yeah, instantly I got mad about this, the whole notion of this warfare that they're doing.
It's one of them things where it's like, I get the point of what they're doing. At the same time, it's like, what you're doing loses the point.
I looked at this and I was just like, holy shit, what a concept. Like, what an absolutely amazing concept for an episode. Like, it's so out there. And I was really looking forward to this at this point.
I thought for a moment, I thought they're being controlled by a computer. Like, when I first heard about it, I thought, it's an AI tricking them, and they don't know better.
Yeah, well, as we know, Kirk is good at slaying the computer gods, so he would have handled this with no fucking problem.
Well, he's just a god
civilization. He is. He really god beings, god computers. He is the God Slayer. He will come in and destroy your civilization.
James T. Kirk, the God Slayer.
So, Anon explains that the attacks are mathematically launched and that he lost his wife in the last attack. And Kirk is questioning. He's like, why would people just walk into a disintegration machine? And Spock says that, well, there's a certain scientific logic to what's happening. And Anon is glad that Spock approves. But Spock says, I don't approve of this. I just understand it.
Right.
Which is
another
really
thing
important.
Is, how do you prove to the enemy that, oh, hey, we're wiping out the people that you theoretically killed?
Well, they make mention a few times about how they have this time limit because of a treaty that they have, and that they have to report these deaths. So, like, they have to record them and send, like, their reports over to their enemy. Like, yeah, you got this many.
Couldn't you just fake it? Like, oh, yeah, we killed, 1 million people today.
You would think so. Maybe he has to send, like, a body part of every one of them to the other people.
It's probably the disintegration chamber. Wow, that's a word that's talking. The disintegration chamber probably has some kind of system in it to
like
warn
sends the dust atoms to them.
Yeah, some kind of system to let them know how many people went through it or whatever. I'm assuming.
Maybe they have a live camera feed and the other people get to watch.
Oh, yeah, that's messed up.
Ooh, that's an interesting idea.
Why do you Brandon always
barbaric,
come up with the most dark things? Every time you come up with the most dark things sometimes, bro. He just watch them disintegrate. Like, yeah, we got them.
Well, hey, man, I would think that as technology advances, people get more and more desensitized. So watching a few million people get disintegrated would be no big deal for them.
I don't think you're wrong on that.
Hey, guys, disintegration party, come on, let's go. It's that year. It's time of the year again.
We got a $500,000 this time. Get the
Yeah,
popcorn.
get the popcorn.
Yeah,
Best
you like get ready for the pay-per-view, $59.99 for 24-hour, live stream.
So Nan tells Kirk that the Enterprise has been classified as destroyed and that the entire crew has 24 hours to report to the disintegration machines, and that he's going to be holding Kirk and his landing party in custody until the ship's crew surrenders. Which it's really weird, because if they materialized a fusion bomb above the city, how the fuck did it go all the way out to space and hit the Enterprise? But that's just one of many issues with this episode, I think.
Yeah.
But a security team shows up, and Anan says that if it's possible, they're going to spare the ship, but the passengers and the crew are already dead. So they're just like extreme LARPing at this point. Like, we're not going to destroy your gear, but everybody else has to lay down and actually die.
I can die. Yep, I agree.
But we go to commercial, come back, and we get a captain's log, just explains current situation, and Kirk and his crew are being held in a room where Mai enters and asks if they need anything, and Kirk says that he just wants to talk to Anan. But Mai says that he is busy calculating the casualty lists. Kirk replies that Anan is going to have more casualty lists than he knows what to do with if he doesn't go talk to him, which is pretty solid.
Which is funny because
he's like, I will fuck this planet up.
Yeah, that's something people say and stuff all the time now, but the way he said it just made me laugh.
Yeah, it's funny just coming from him, too.
Yeah.
Kirk was great throughout this whole episode, in my opinion, also.
He was a very different Kirk in this episode.
He was being the God Slayer.
Yeah, he was. He's like, do you understand the civilizations I've destroyed? Like, I am Kirk, slayer of gods, destroyer of civilization.
Now that you mention it like that, that is a good way to describe him.
Yeah, he's killed a few gods.
Yep.
Mai explains that she has also been declared a casualty and that she has to go report to the disintegrator. And she says that if they don't report, then Vanikar will have to launch real weapons, and that they then have to retaliate against Vanikar, and they would potentially just destroy each other's whole civilization. And Kirk doesn't agree with this, but Maya's like, all right, peace out, and just leaves.
Do you wonder how long it took to, brainwash the whole world population to get behind this notion?
Probably at least a generation, right? If not two. I imagine in the beginning, people would be like, why? What the fuck is this? But then, as the kids start learning about, this is the way they do things as they grow up, yeah, I would think it would take a few generations to get everybody on board.
Because she wasn't upset by the notion of having to die.
No, yeah, she's just like, I got hit, I'm out.
Yeah, but the issue is...
She's like, I'm already dead.
You got to think about it as in the way we are today, where things are passed on, and we just accept it as normal, and then one day we find out how messed up it is, or the origins of it.
Right.
Et cetera, et cetera. So you got to be this 1,000 years, so that's got to be at least 100 years, so many generations. This is part of their habit, part of what they do, part of life.
Yeah.
So some traditions we have and things like that, we don't even know the worst origins of them, So
right.
I think the whole concept of them just doing this without question is normal.
Yeah. So as Mai leaves the room, she asks again if Kirk needs anything, and he still just wants to talk to Anan. And when she leaves, Kirk notices that the guards take this little black circular device from a slot on the wall, and it makes the door close. So he takes notice that, hey, I'm going to need that thing eventually. And then we go to the Enterprise, and McCoy is talking to Scotty about how they should have heard from the crew by now, and they just have a quick discussion about what to do when Uhura tells Scott that there's a message from Kirk for him. And in the message, Kirk says that they've reached a full diplomatic solution and that the entire crew is invited to come down to shore leave and just hang out and have a good time. Scott's like, well, everybody? You want the entire ship to come down? And Kirk responds that some trained Amenians are going to go to the Enterprise to assume support roles and just keep everything running. And then we cut to Anan in his room, and he's talking through a communicator that makes him sound like Kirk. So it's a fake Kirk this whole time. Again, it's like our second or third fake Kirk.
Yep.
And he tells Scott that the shore leave is an order. So Scotty then orders the entire ship to start forming shore leave parties, but then he goes to the computer and tells it to analyze that last message from Kirk.
You know how I figured out it wasn't Kirk, right?
Because he didn't fucking hang up on him?
Hung up on. Yep.
Yeah, so the computer says that there's a 98% probability that it's a voice copy. So, good for Scott figuring that out immediately. He is immediately like, something is not right here.
Like, Kirk didn't hang up on me.
Yeah, he said, all right, I love you. I'll talk to you later. He's like, that's not Kirk.
That's not my girl. Who are you?
Yeah. On the planet, the real Kirk has convinced Spock to try to use his telepathic abilities on the guard outside of the room, which was
the writer's like,
a new one.
Hey, let's give Spock a new power.
Yeah, I was a little thrown off by that, but then at the same time, I'm like, okay, they did do the mind meld thing, which I guess is kind of a telepathic thing. And if they hadn't done that at that point, I'd have been pretty fucking upset by this. Just suddenly he has, telepathic abilities.
I forgot that Spock did that.
Yeah, that's the only reason I was like, okay. Like, this is, Well, I think that was Dagger of the Mind, when he calmed down the crazy guy and, looked into his mind.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time. But just because there was, some reference to this before, I was a little more willing to let it go. But man, this ability would have come in handy quite a few times since then.
That's what I thought too. And then I thought had never seen it before, so I was like, "Oh, Kirk." I was like, "Oh, they gave him this ability," and I was like, "I had no idea."
Yeah, no, I've never seen this reference anywhere.
Yeah, I've never seen it. Yeah, so I'm wondering if it happens a lot and people just don't talk about it, and they're so stuck on the mind meld, don't talk about the mind meld.
Right.
Yeah,
the other weird thing I caught from this was that Spock said that Vulcanians have an innate telepathic ability, and I was like, I thought you were Vulcans. Why are you Vulcanians now? And apparently they're interchangeable.
It was that was the German part that you were watching.
Yeah, yeah. If he hadn't actually spoke it, then I would have been a little confused.
No.
But I looked it up. They're interchangeable, but that's the first time they've ever said Vulcanians. They've always just said Vulcans. Yeah.
Well, I thought
It's always just been Vulcans.
I just kind of assumed Vulcanian was the plural of it, like when you say Vulcani, Vulcanians, like when you say a bunch of Vulcans together. Like I just assumed that, like bird, or like B and B's. Like I thought it was like deer. I thought Vulcanians meant
a bunch of Vulcans together have just been Vulcans. That's just what they keep calling them.
Yeah. See, I don't know. I guess
somebody decided they just wanted to leave their mark on the Star Trek franchise and fucking made up Vulcanians.
About stuff, but now that you bring it up, I kind of understand what you're trying to say.
Fucking Vulcanians. Now it just sounds like a bunch of volcanoes, or people from Volcano Island.
Yeah. Well, maybe their planet has a lot of volcanoes on it.
Yeah. Spock does go to the door, and he uses his telepathic power to influence the guard to open the door. And the guard just casually walks in, and Kirk knocks him out and takes his weapon, which was a cool-looking weapon, by the way. And he tells Spock that they need to get more weapons and that they're going to try to take it easy, but if they're forced to, then they will kill. So no bullshit from Kirk. They head out into the corridor, and they find an entrance to the disintegration chamber, and Kirk manages to catch Mai before she goes into the chamber. And he sends Spock to go take out the guard posted at the chamber, and Spock just casually approaches the guy, and he says, "Hey, there's a multi-legged creature crawling on your shoulder." And the guy's like, "Fucking what?" And then Kirk gives him the Vulcan nerve pinch. And I was like, dude, what the fuck is this? This is very out of character for Spock. Why didn't he just walk up and pinch the fucking guy? Why did he have to go, "Hey, there's a multi-legged creature crawling on your shoulder"?
Maybe he thought it'd be funny.
I mean,
which is not Spock.
It's funny. I think it's funny that he's trying to be funny, and it's so bad that it's funny, in a way.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that was. It was so weird, so out of character for him. He returns to Kirk as just a bunch of other people that were reporting to the chamber look on, and Kirk's like, "Hey, get out of the way." And then he shoots the machine that controls his disintegration chamber, and just the whole thing fucking catches fire and blows up.
Did you notice that the guy he knocked out was not on the floor?
No, I didn't see that.
I was looking for a body on the floor because they had a group of people standing there, but there was no body there. It was just gone.
Yeah, just a weird continuity error then. The other thing I thought was really weird was that nothing came out of that gun when he shot. There was no special effect or anything. It was just a sound. And every time they fire their phasers, there's a beam.
They probably didn't want to waste the CGI money.
Yeah, just...
you know what? I noticed that later on the episode that there was nothing coming out of their weapons.
Yeah, it was really weird. This whole episode's fucking weird.
I also noticed that everybody's clothes just kept getting, more and more interesting as the show went along.
It was hard for me to discern the difference between the regular people and the security people because they were dressed so similarly that I was like, are these all security people? Who the fuck are these people just walking around?
Yeah.
So, the council gets word of the crew's escape, and Anan orders his security force to find them and do what's necessary if they resist. And he has ordered the planetary disruptor banks to target the Enterprise and destroy it. And we go to a commercial break, and we come back to a captain's log from Scotty, which was pretty cool. And really caught me off guard in the beginning. I was like, who the fuck is this guy talking? But he explains the situation as the helmsman gives some ship readings, and then they notice that they have a red warning light that comes on, and suddenly the ship starts to shake and the lights start to flicker. And they find that they've been hit by an extremely powerful sonic blast, and their defensive screens have saved them. So Scotty and McCoy discuss how to save Kirk and the crew on the planet, and Ambassador Fox enters the bridge as Scotty is talking about firing a few dozen torpedoes. He's like, yeah, it's nothing a couple dozen torpedoes can't fix. So good for him.
I'm glad Scotty's willing to make the hard decisions. Like, hey, they just attacked us. I'm going to retaliate.
I fucking loved Scotty as captain, but for a different reason that we're going to get to a little bit later, and I'm sure you probably know what it is when it comes up. But the ambassador shows up, and he's like, hey, we're not firing no fucking torpedoes. You know, this whole thing is just a misunderstanding. And he doesn't believe that they're holding Kirk captive on the planet, and he says that the success of his mission is more important than the ship. And I'm like, aren't you on the fucking ship? Like, if the ship gets destroyed, how do you succeed in your mission?
Yeah, I don't understand that. He's
like, I'm willing to sacrifice this ship for my mission. Like, you're on the ship, dude. Like, you'll fucking die.
Yeah. There's a whole lot of that.
He's that dedicated.
He's pretty much a waste of a character. That's what I feel.
Yeah, he's that classic bad guy that's trying to destroy the world when they're on the world.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Somehow he's a bigger dick than the guy that's ordering his people to march to their death.
Right? He's just more insufferable.
You know what? You're right. I hate him worse.
This fucking stupid high-collared trench coat horse shit uniform.
The outfit
doesn't even get a good color. It's like boring brown.
The outfit is fire, bro. I'd rock that if it was all black.
Fuck, it's not.
I'd rock that all black. Like, yo, what's up? How you doing?
Dude, if you would just if instead of being brown, if that uniform was black, he's just a fucking extra in a Missy Elliott video from the early 2000s, late 90s.
Yep.
Oh, what a deep cut that was.
So he reminds Scotty that his orders take priority over the captain's orders, and he tells him that they can't take any measures against the planet. And then we go back to the planet, and Kirk and the crew go back into the room where they were being held in, because Kirk says that the last place that anybody would look for them is the place that they escaped from, which actually is pretty solid logic, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So Spock explains that they managed to get some weapons and some uniforms and a communication device that he may be able to alter to allow them to contact the Enterprise, and Kirk just tells him to go ahead and get to work on that. And Kirk talks to Mai and asks her how to get to the war room, but she is not helping because she just wants to go die for her planet. And he explains that he might be able to save her and the others from dying. And then she eventually is like, okay, that sounds good, and decides to help him out. And we go to the council, and they're just talking about everything that's going on. And then a guy comes in and tells Anan that the ambassador is calling with an urgent message. We go to the ship, and Uhura patches the ambassador, which Ambassador Fox patches him through, and he questions why they have attacked the ship and why they're holding Kirk and the rest of the crew hostage. And Anan says, oh, it's just a big misunderstanding, and we're going to stop the attack, and we'll make sure everybody here stays alive and well, and everything's all good.
We didn't mean to fire our sonic weapons at you. That's RB.
Yeah, there was a big space fly they were trying to get, and they missed and hit the Enterprise with the sonic beam. It's reported on the Enterprise that the beams have stopped hitting the ship, and Scotty says, I don't care, maintain your current status, so keep the shields up and everything. And then Anan invites Fox to go to the planet, and he mutes his microphone, his communicator, and tells somebody nearby to fire at the Enterprise as soon as their defensive screens are down. Which, what if he forgot to mute at that point? He's just pretend you didn't hear that.
They hear
it. Fox would still be okay with it because he's a fucking idiot. But he asks if Kirk is going to be present when he beams down to the planet, and Anan's like, yeah, you have my word. He'll be here. Which I guess technically he'll be there somewhere. And then the conversation ends, and Fox orders Scotty to lower their defensive screens. And this is why I like Scotty in this, because he says, no, I'm not doing that until Kirk tells me to. And Ambassador Fox is like, hey, I have authority here, And Scotty's like, yeah, I know, but the screens are staying up. And so McCoy tries to persuade Fox, on their side, says, hey, something about this is not right. And Fox is like, I'm an idiot and I don't realize that, to put those screens down. And
that what it said in German at that point.
Yeah, that's why I got on the German subtitles. The translation was, I am stupid and am not listening to you. But Fox threatens to have Scotty jailed, and Scotty's like, I don't give a shit. I've been to jail once, and I was the fucking king of jail, and I'll do it again. And he's not lowering the screens.
Scotty looks like he could handle himself in a fight.
Yeah, how do you think he lost his finger? That big fucking prison takeover. So Fox eventually just gives up, and he's like, all right, I'm just going to go. I'm just going to leave. And he does. And we go back to the planet, and Kirk manages to sneak up on Anan, who just offers him a drink. He's like, hey, great work. Have a drink. And then they talk about their similarities in terms of just killing people when they need to. And Kirk is like, look, dude, I just want my communicator back so I can call the ship. And Anan's like, well, why don't you have a drink instead? And Kirk's like, okay. And he just starts pouring a drink and like takes a step away to take a sip of it. Oddly enough, turning his back on the guy who he's being held captive by.
I thought he was trying to roofie him, like, take a drink.
Yeah, I'm letting it go, Kurt, but you're just as bad as the dumb security I've been dealing with all these episodes. That's a bad move, Kurt. I know you're Superman and all, but it's still a bad move.
Yeah, I also thought he was like trying to poison Kirk or something, or just like give him something to knock him out, but nothing. So that gives that gives Anan a chance to press a hidden button that he has, and Kirk goes on to tell Anan, he's like, look, I could destroy your entire planet. And Anan's like, well, that's why I'm not going to give you back the ability to talk to your ship. And Kirk says that he doesn't need the ship. He could destroy the planet by himself. And he just like...
He's like, I'm a god slayer. Don't mess with me.
Yeah, like Kirk is just on some shit this episode. He's like, do you know who the fuck I am? Like, I am Planet Destroyer. I don't even need my ship. Like, I'll tear your fucking buildings down with my bare hands.
I will ruin your whole way of life with a pistol. Let's be real here.
Yeah.
I don't want to jump ahead.
Exactly.
I don't want to jump ahead to my thing at the end, but let's just say I'll leave a note here for that moment. I'll talk about the end.
So he actually presses the weapon against Anan's chest, and he's like, where are my communicators? And so Anan's like, all right, I'll tell you how to get them. And he tells them where they are. He says they're in the war room, and then they leave the room to head that way, and two guards are waiting for Kirk outside the hallway. And they have a quick little fight, but Kirk is ultimately outnumbered and defeated.
I was surprised.
And Anan orders them to take him to the council room. Yeah, it's really funny because everybody in this series goes down with like one hit, but you know that Kirk is going to lose the fight if he hits them like 2 or 3 times and they're still up. Like they just keep getting up. Because it was the same way when he fought all those guards when they went back in time. Like he fucked up those 3 dudes in that room, but they just kept getting up, and it's like, okay, he's not going to make it through this.
Yeah, but they always make it when Kirk does go down, like it's real, like it's the whole team jumping him. It's not like one guy,
right?
Like Kirk's so strong, all 3 of them got to get him at the same time, etc., or 2, or however many it is.
Yeah, they eventually go, hey, there's more of us than there are of him, and they go get him at once instead of doing the like take turns bullshit.
Yeah.
Then they pistol whip him.
I think the biggest deal here is that your boy Iman over here. Your boy Iman didn't help. He just watched. He had him. Kurt was right behind. He's right behind Kurt. He didn't hit him in the back of the head.
No, he ain't sullying his hands. He ain't getting them things dirty.
He was sitting right there. He hit him right in the back of the head, and that stuff quick.
Yep. We go to a commercial break. We come back. Ambassador Fox and another man. Actually, I don't know about you guys, but I actually find 10 minutes of commercials to watch during the commercial breaks just so I get the authentic experience.
Oh,
I don't actually do that.
Said, no, not in this world. I get everything quick, buddy. I pause, run to the bathroom, run back immediately. Like, yo, I gotta hurry and finish my show.
That's why it takes me so long. That's why I have to split these episodes up over a couple of days, because I watch it like I would watch modern TV.
Yeah.
So it's 10 minutes of TV and then a half hour of commercials and then 10 minutes of the show.
Hours of something else and then come back again.
Yeah. Now, do you go back and do you look up commercials from the 60s to get that true, authentic feel to it?
Yep. And then just like, it is now, by the time I get back to watching what I was watching, I forget what it was. So that's why I got to split this up over 2 days. That's why the captain's logs are so useful to me, because I was like, what the fuck? I just watched a half hour of commercials. I don't remember what I was watching. So Ambassador Fox and another guy who never gets a name and never actually does anything, they beam down to the planet to meet with Anon 7. And Anon informs him that he and the others have been declared casualties and that they are to be taken to one of the casualty stations to be killed. So that's really fucked up. He's like, like, hey, I'm Ambassador Fox. And the guy's like, yeah, you're also dead. So,
welcome. Like,
yeah. Well, welcome to my planet. I hope you enjoy your funeral.
How did they beam down if the shields were up?
Yeah, I was curious about that too. They must have maybe the defensive screens allow them to get people through, but like maybe they can beam out but not back in. I don't know. They never explained it. I was curious about that as well, but they never said how that works. I don't think.
I think we're learning as we go along the rules, and we're just kind of adding the rules together as we.
Well, and they're also making up the rules as we go along too. Yeah. So, but elsewhere, Spock manages to contact Scotty using that communicator that he stole, and he tells Scott not to beam anybody down. And Scott is like, "Well, Fox already went down," and Spock goes, "That's fine. I don't fucking like that guy anyway." He actually doesn't really respond to that. He just tells them to orbit out to maximum phaser range and then stand by for further orders. And then he hangs up on Scott. So Scott's like, that's the real Spock there.
That's the real Spock.
Yep. Then he decides to go find Kirk and Fox for himself, and he orders Yeoman Tamura to stay with Mai to protect her from herself, basically. Like, hey, don't let her kill herself while I'm gone, please. We go to a disintegration chamber where Fox is being forced into the chamber when Spock and the disguised security members arrive and rescue him.
He just casually just walks up again.
Yeah, these guys are like forced. They're like, all right, you go in here, like you go in here and get cooked, and you go in here and get cooked, and then like they know that there's some escaped people walking around, and Spock, wearing a fucking uniform of the escaped people, just casually walks up to them and fucks them up.
And another thing, do these high societies, advanced societies, do they not have cameras in the hallways to monitor who's coming and going?
Yeah, apparently not. Maybe they just have like such a peaceful society that they don't really have a need for that. Maybe that's why their security team fucking sucks.
Well, you can't tell your security team is because they match all the other men.
It's Demolition Man. They're like, we're police officers. We're not trained to handle that kind of violence.
Yeah, for real.
So yeah, he destroys that chamber with the weapon that he has as well, and Fox tells him where he can find Kirk because for some reason they told Fox that. They were like, hey, we're keeping your friend in the council
I let that
chamber,
go,
just so you know.
Dumb logic, but move on.
I wonder, so they have 24 hours to kill, 1 million people? Is that even possible?
Yeah, like 500,000
chambers?
People. Well, they apparently have a shit ton of chambers.
Yeah, because he said because December chamber 11 was the one they destroyed. So we know they have a bunch. And how long does disintegration take? It could be a split second. You go into and just
well, you also have to inform you also would have to inform the people that are getting the most unlucky lottery you could win. Like, hey, you've been chosen to be killed.
Yeah, and what if you can't get a hold of them? What if they're like at work?
They probably got some system where it's with you at all times. When you get that,
it's like when you go to a restaurant, they have one of those little buzzing things that goes off when it's your turn. Like, well, I'm buzzing, I gotta go.
Like, I'll watch you have, and then like you see the buzzing, and I'm assuming like almost like Squid Game, you had some big dinner. Like, oh, thank you, welcome for your sacrifice. Have a big dinner with your family. Join up.
In reality, they're just fucking working, and their buzzer goes off, and then they gotta leave, and their boss is like, "All right, well, you're gonna be in tomorrow, right?"
What if you're just like, "Hey, my watch was dead. I never got your message."
Sorry, I didn't get your message.
They find you. They hunt you down.
At this point, wouldn't it be easier to just actually bomb them? Like, this seems logistically like just a lot of work.
I agree.
But we go to the council chambers where Anon is trying to sway Kirk to his point of view, and Kirk is just like, no. And Kirk says that Anon was accurate when he called him a barbarian, and that he plans to prove that he's a barbarian. And so Anon calls the Enterprise, and Scotty answers, and Kirk is like, hey, execute Order 66. Actually, it's General Order 24, and he tells them to do that in 2 hours. And then the Enterprise leaves, and they start hunting Jedi. It's a weird series from here.
Well, Kirk didn't want to execute a bunch of kids.
No. Yeah, he's not going full Sith.
Yeah.
But General Order 24 tells him to do that in 2 hours. And Anon tells Scotty that if they don't start transporting their crew to the planet, then they're going to kill Kirk and everybody else in 30 minutes. So Kirk tells Anan that General Order 24 means that the Enterprise is going to destroy the planet in 2 hours, even if he isn't around to see the destruction. And so Anan's like, well, fuck that, and tells his people to fire on the Enterprise, but they can't hit it because it has moved out of their effective range. So a guy walks in, and he says that their time is almost up and that Vendikar is accusing them of violating their treaty, which I can't believe it's already been almost 24 hours at this point. Like, holy shit. Nobody slept or ate or did anything. But they receive a report that another disintegration chamber has been destroyed, and Anan tells Kirk that he can stop the escalation of the war, but Kirk's is like, no, I'm counting on escalating it. He's like, this is what I came here to do.
Yeah.
I'm fucking up 2 civilizations for the price of 1 today.
He's like, aren't you guys supposed to be ambassadors of the peace? Nope.
Yeah, well,
not today.
I'm saving my rant for the end, so I'm not going to comment on anything.
Kirk's version of peace is that everybody's dead. If nobody's alive, then there is no war. That's his true mission. So we go back to the Enterprise, and Scotty calls the council and tells them that they've located all of their cities and put them all into their fire control system, and that they have 1 hour and 45 minutes before they destroy the entire planet. And you guys think that he actually would have done it? I think Scotty would have. I think Scotty's a no bullshit guy.
Well, he wanted to attack them earlier in the episode, so I fully believe he would shoot those shit, I can't talk now. The torpedoes.
Yeah.
Photon torpedoes. There we go.
Yeah. Kirk takes the opportunity to, this guard walks in, and he just, he walks past Kirk very casually, and Kirk just trips him up and then beats up 4 people and gets a weapon. Where earlier he couldn't handle 2.
Dude, the guards in the future are just terrible.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Spock and the others then show up to help, and Spock's like, well, I guess you got everything handled. And Kirk's like, no, I actually need your help. You go over here to this room, this war room. And Kirk calls the Enterprise to get beamed up, says, hey, beam me up in 10 minutes, and if you don't hear from us, then carry out General Order 24 on schedule.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. General Order 24. Do you think it's even real? Or is it something they came up with as a threat?
Yes.
As a threat? As like let them say we destroy them so they will follow the situation we're in.
I bet it's an actual order.
Because
I
can't
they
imagine,
have to have a contingency for stuff.
They can't. You can't destroy a whole civilization because one of their prime directives is life. So like I don't get why they would do that. It don't make any sense to me personally.
But does the prime directive go out the window when a member of their own federation is basically kidnapped and killed? Not even just a member, 5 of them.
I know, I get that. So it's worth destroying the whole damn planet over 5 people. That's part of my issue.
Yeah.
Well, they're committing an act of aggression against the Federation at this point.
I don't see the Federation putting those 5 lives above the lives of the whole entire planet. I don't understand the concept of it. Even if they're my own people, I understand that. I get that. I'm behind that. But I'm saying I just don't get them threatening that level, destroying the whole entire planet over 5 people is so I don't know. It just seems so ridiculous to me in a way.
As bad as it sounds, maybe the Federation looks at it like, hey, we can't let, other civilizations, commit acts against us. So we have to make sure hey, we're all about peace. But if you try to start shit with us like the Romulans did, we'll go to war with you.
We'll fucking put you down.
How many people you said was on the planet earlier? We lost 60 million a year or whatever. So we
did on Earth. On Earth. There, they lose 1 to 3 million a year.
Oh, yeah, so I'm saying I just don't just go in there. So there's got to be a lot of people there. I'm saying. So let's say let's give them 100 million people on a planet. You going to destroy 100 million people over 5 people? The numbers don't add up no matter what. So but maybe I personally feel like it's an order you do as a threat. Because I don't think they would go through with it. I just don't think they could do it. Destroy the whole entire planet with 5 people.
You're not wrong. That's not a reasonable response to killing 5 members of the Federation. But maybe Kirk is just fuck it. If they're gonna kill me, I won't be around to face the consequences of this fucking planet getting destroyed. So maybe it's just strictly a Kirk thing.
Yeah, I assume it's like it's a threat, and he could tell that it's a threat that they would be afraid of. So they have some kind of code, he made it up, So I'm wondering if General Order 24 is coming
Well,
again.
maybe it was the bluff code.
Yeah, like, maybe it was. I'm not sure. I don't. I'm overthinking it because I'm me. But I don't know. I feel like that might be something
No,
that Kirk made
it's
up.
definitely not. It's definitely not an equal reaction. Like somebody bumped into Kirk on the street, so Kirk murders their whole family. It's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, so I'm saying. Like, I can't put it. As Kirk as a person, I can't see him threatening to destroy civilization over five of people, including himself. He rather sacrifice himself and then make sure they move on, like rather than do this. So
Right.
I can't see.
Well, then the question comes down to, is Scotty willing to commit mass murder?
Oh, fuck yes, he is.
Yeah.
He commits mass murder before breakfast.
Yeah.
Scotty's taking pot shots at planets as they fly by just for the hell of it.
Yeah. See. Oh man.
Scotty's this fucking stone cold killer, man.
Shit, my bad. I didn't really go in no big rant on you guys. I just wanted to get my thoughts out there on that one.
No, it's a fair point to point out.
I feel like when they fly by like a city, Scotty transports a random person up and then transports back down their corpse. He's a fucking madman.
He's a serial killer.
Wow, between that and his orgies in the teleport room, he's a pretty fun guy.
Yeah. And what's crazy, he doesn't even do any drugs or anything. He just is that way.
Oh man. My bad.
Yep. No, it's completely no, you're 100% right. It's very, I can't think of the word, but it's not an equal response to what would be happening.
Yeah.
But the other thing is too, not to continue on this, but that would mean that General Order 24 is a bluff, and that like everybody on the ship knows that it's a bluff, or right? Like that would have to be like, hey,
that's what I thought.
I'll tell you this, and we're gonna say it's this, but you don't really do that.
Yeah, I'm assuming that they have plans in place or something like that, because that's a very Kirk thing to do.
Right.
So like, I feel like they have some.
Well, it's a code that Kirk could pass through communications from the enemy that they would have no idea what it meant anyway.
Yeah,
right.
So I'm just curious.
I like to think that they would just destroy it, but no, you're right. It makes absolutely no sense, and that's why I want to believe it. But Kirk is lecturing Anan on the destruction of war, which Anan's like, you already captured me. You don't have to fucking torture me. And he says that they've made war so neat and painless that they have no reason to stop it. And he says that he and his crew are going to put an end to that. And he has Fox take the council members to the corridor, and then he has one of them get his phasers and his communicators out of like the safe that they put them in. And Spock explains to Kirk how all of the war computers are working, and explains how to end the agreement between the two planets by just basically destroying this one computer that's going to fuck everything up. So that's what they do. They step out of the room, and Kirk destroys the main computer and sets off a chain reaction, and it ends the war agreement between the two civilizations. So now they have to actually start using real weapons on each other. So understandably, Anan's a little bit upset about this, and he's like, "Hey, you just gave us back all the horrors of war, you dick." And Anan says that, well, no, Kirk says that he just gave them back all the horrors of war. So yeah, never mind. I read that one wrong. Yeah, Anan's upset. Kirk says that he gave him back all the horrors of war, and Anan. He tells Anan that the Vendikar people are going to have to attack with real weapons and cause real destruction, and that then, obviously Anan is going to have to retaliate, and they're going to have to do the same thing. And he's like, says, or, they can have the real war, or they can make peace and put an end to it. They have just a real quick discussion about how killing is in their nature and how they can't stop it. But Kirk says that, yes, that's true, but they can admit that they're killers, but they can say that they're not going to kill today, which is something I tell myself every morning when I wake up. I'm not going to kill today. I'm not going to kill today. Okay, maybe just a little killing. And he urges Anan to contact Vendikar because he thinks that they're going to see it that way as well, and that they don't want the real war. So Fox offers his services as a negotiator between the civilizations, and Anan agrees that they're going to try that. Kirk calls Scotty to cancel the general order and get them beamed up. And then we go to a little bit later on the Enterprise, where they have set a course for Argona 2, and they get a report, which the next episode better be at Argona 2, or I'm going to be mad. I'll actually forget about it. But they get a report from Fox saying that peace between the two civilizations is looking hopeful, so they may actually be able to broker a peace. And Spock tells Kirk, he says, hey, you took a pretty big chance there. And Kirk responds that an actual attack wouldn't have killed any more people than one of their computer attacks would have, but it would have ended their ability to make war. And he says that he had a feeling that they would have done anything to avoid a real war. Spock notes that feeling isn't too much to go on, and Kirk says, well, sometimes a feeling is all that humans have to go on. And Spock goes, that almost makes me believe in luck. And Kirk jokingly replies that Spock makes him almost believe in miracles. And then they leave, and that's the end of the episode.
Just give them the luck.
I was quiet for the last like 10 minutes. Even though I had a lot to say, I was saving it for the end, just so you guys know. I was kind of being quiet to let you get through. So,
but you're gonna have to sit on it for another second,
okay?
Because we got to let Dan go first this time. We always say everything he wants to say, and then by the time we get to him, he's like, "Yeah, that's it."
No. I did want to say something about what just happened. Now, like, right at the end, when he says he thought that they would react that way, he thought that they would be scared or whatever. That further lets me think about the whole him bluffing on that whole General 24. Like, he knew that they would hear that and be so scared that they would want to go the other way.
Yeah, I don't know. I can see it going either way. Like I said earlier, you're definitely correct on that. It was probably a bluff, but I like to believe that it's not. I like to believe that they would have just said fuck it and just wrecked that planet and moved on. But Dan, you want to give us your thoughts on this one first?
Yeah, overall, I enjoyed the episode. I thought the premise of the computer, computer strikes against the other civilization, like, oh, hey, you have to kill your own people, but you're not doing any destruction. Even though I think it's really messed up, but actually where this episode really shined was in the final 10 minutes was Kirk, talking about like, hey, like you said, you made war so clean and neat that you have no motivation to end it, which I think is a very true statement just in life in general on the notion on war. So I think by making them be in a position where, oh, hey, there's going to be not only casualties, but your society is going to start to fall apart from this. So maybe you should come to the table and try to talk. So I thought it was very well written.
Yeah. For me, I don't know. I'm really torn on this episode. I liked it, but if you sit and think, I liked it on the surface, but if you sit and think about it, I didn't like it at all. Yeah, to your point where you said that they said in the show that they made it so neat and clean that they just kind of continued it because there's no reason to stop. I find it hard to believe that in 1,000 years nobody in charge went, why the fuck are we still doing this? Why are we just if it's this neat and it's this clean and it's this casual and it doesn't to this point it doesn't actually mean anything. Okay, every now and then a few million people disappear, but beyond that, what else actually happens? I feel like it's eventually somebody's going to go, why do we keep doing this? Why can't both sides just stop?
They couldn't even remember themselves why they were fighting.
Listen, for somebody who grew up now in this era, to think that people are stupid enough not to just do something just to keep doing it. Think about the way people are today around. Sometimes they just do shit.
But not one person in 1,000 years that was in charge said, hey, this is really dumb. We should probably stop this.
Someday somebody's going to ask, what's the origin of Santa Claus? And everybody is going to forget about it. Or Christmas or anything we do nowadays. We don't know the stuff, but we still do it. We have holidays that we celebrate that was thousands of years ago, and we don't know the origins of it really, but we still do it. There's things we do today.
I agree, but you're
I just
no. I agree with what you're saying, but you're also not murdering people on Christmas Day by the millions.
I don't know.
But also traditions fade over time. Christmas is not nearly as celebrated as it was even 50 years ago. Everything fades over time, so that's why I have a hard time believing that 1,000 years of this and they're still just going, yeah, it's the way it's always been. Eventually somebody's gonna go, well, that doesn't have to be that way.
I can easily see them following this stuff forever and growing up that way and learning that way and staying that way. It's too easy for me to imagine. That's how some people are. They grow up somewhere, you learn something, and your mindset stays in that way, and the next person does the same thing over and over again. So I think it's easily they could be doing this for thousands of years personally.
Yeah, I'm definitely of the opposite thought.
I will say, in fairness, we're looking at it through a human perspective when they're not actually humans; they just look human. So
Yeah.
maybe their brains don't work the way how we would look at it.
Yeah, but they're also like a highly advanced civilization.
Yeah.
Like you would think that the other civilization is probably equally as advanced as they are. So like you would think that they would have evolved to a point to go.
I mean, you're not barbaric,
right? But like eventually, somebody's gonna go like, "Hey, this doesn't serve any purpose to any of us." Like it's not even like, "Why are we doing this?" It's just like, "What purpose does this serve anymore?" Like it kind of seems like one of those things that it's more a detriment to your society than anything.
We never ruled out they're not androids.
Yeah,
we never ruled out they're not androids, so maybe that's their programming.
That's true. But yeah, I'll just finish my thoughts by saying that I think it's dumb that they have continued this the entire time, that I think that at least one person eventually would have gone, why the fuck are we doing this? But also that I liked Kirk in this episode, but I also disliked Kirk because he was very not Kirk. Like, I liked how he was just like upfront, like, hey, I'm going to fucking destroy your planet. Like, I don't give a shit about any of this. Like, I just wanted my ship and I just want to go home or, just leave. And Spock was fucking weird. Whole episode was kind of weird. And I don't know. I didn't really like it the more I thought about it. But anyway, sorry. Okay, Paul.
Well, my first thought was now you brought up something else or whatever, but I just want to clarify that I think there's traditions we do today that are thousands of years old and hundreds of years old. They're going to be around for another 100 years or 20 years or 300 years down the line. So that's why I personally think like they would easily follow this for a long time. My biggest issue with this whole episode, though, is Kirk went to a society, right? Goes, destroys their way of life for what?
Again, he does it again.
This time I'm like, for what? Because the way of life was perfectly fucking fine without you, Kirk. What they doing? Was it right? I don't know. It's not for you to be the judge of that planet and the way they do. And the reason I'm so
I agree, but I disagree with
here's
that.
my issue. I'm about to relate it to real life. That's what got my issue with it. Because that's what Americans do. We go so they don't do things the same way we do it, so they're doing it wrong. No, what works for them works for them. What was going on for them? It's not the way I view life, but it's nothing wrong with what they were doing. It's a different way of life, but at the same time, it's not mine. It's not for me to try to change their life. And this time, I'm so pissed off at Kirk for going to a planet that had their own way of life going on, own system, things working perfectly fine. And he wants to go in there trying to change them to be like the rest of everybody else. Trying to go in there with all his morality and stuff, when their morality was perfectly fine the way they were doing it.
I would say be pissed off at the Federation because it's not like he went there of his own accord. He had orders to go there. But yes, I understand what you're saying.
I just don't. It's just a lot of times this show brings up my random thoughts about things where there's a way of life going on. Is it destructive? Sometimes. Is it tyranny? Is it king? Sometimes people ruling? Yes, I know. But sometimes there's a way of life going on that's slightly different than yours that isn't terrible. Their way of life wasn't terrible. The people were living good. It's not like so. I got this weird thing about this episode where I'm like they're trying to throw their way of life on another planet, and the way the planet was doing was perfectly fine. It wasn't unfair. It was fair. It was logical. There wasn't more sided this way more than that way. It was even. Like I guess it's me overthinking like I do sometimes, but I found it very annoying that they would go in there.
You have a point. Like he did just go there and basically fuck everything up. Like they did have I think that their arrangement was fucking dumb. Like I've already voiced my opinion on that, but they did have an arrangement that worked for both sides, and they all agreed. It's not like they were dragging other civilizations into it. Like they had a system that worked for them, and the Federation fucked it up.
In fairness, though, they did pick a fight with Kirk and his crew
because they told them to stay away in the first place.
Yeah, they did.
They said don't if you.
But Kirk didn't want to go there. He got overruled.
That's not even a point, though. They told him to stay away. He can't in my house.
I'm not really looking at it as like this entire thing being Kirk's fault, but more like the Federation's fault because that ambassador was on his way to do that regardless. Like. Yeah. Whether it was Kirk or whether they got on another ship, he was gonna go.
Yeah. No matter. I'm saying Kirk.
What a bullshit rule to like. No, go ahead, Paul.
No, I'm saying my bad. I'm saying Kurt is a reference. I'm in Federation time. I say Kurt because I put Kurt as the kind of face Federation in my head. So yeah, in general, it's like
yeah, you're right. Yeah,
it's like I get their point. I just first of all, I told you to stay out my spot. You came in my spot anyway. You come to my spot, I'm already in. Try to tell me how to rule my area and think on how I'm supposed to react peacefully, and I even reacted peacefully in a way that at first I didn't kill you when you first got there. After I told you not to come to my house, I told you the rules here, and the rules.
But they were invited though first, so that's kind of the crazy thing.
No, they weren't invited.
Well, they don't ever really say.
No,
It's just kind of implied
they
that you
were
know
going there to try to set up that pathway, a port.
yeah. They're trying to
So-
broker a
you-
peace.
Yeah, they didn't invite
But
them.
you would have thought that someone invited them to the planet to do
No,
that. Though.
they-
Like
they-
you just
no,
didn't
yeah, they
interview,
never-
like, hey, we're gonna go there and make peace.
They never said that.
They never said that they were invited. Just that
No.
the ambassador was on his way to.
Like, they just wanted to go there and try to set up a port.
Then that's just being nosy and getting involved in
Right.
affairs
And
that you shouldn't.
my point.
Be
You
in.
and
walked in the
actually,
house,
in
you
the
took-
opening,
Go ahead.
yeah, in the opening, they say that they even sent a message there to explain their intentions, and that they never received a reply. And then the only reply they did get was, "Hey, stay the fuck away from here."
Yeah,
And
so
they went
my,
anyway.
All
yeah,
right.
so my initial thing is like, oh, I tell you not to come to my house. You come to my house. I tell you the rules. You break the rules. I make you part of my society because I have rules here. Then you have the fault rules as society, so you got this disintegrated. I still have me killing you isn't even a bad thing. I'm literally following my way of life. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this out of spite. I'm doing this because this is the way I was raised, and this is the way things are going on. And you come here, you broke every rule to get in here, and I find this whole episode annoying because I feel like it's them, the Federation, trying to force their way of life on a planet. Like
Right.
this,
Oh yeah, for sure.
this is the first time I felt that way.
I agree with what you're saying, but also if it leads to peace, though, that's a good thing
Once again,
in the long term.
they already had a form of peace in a way. That war was a form of peace. It was
Well,
evenly.
here's the thing.
Well,
Right.
then
Here's the thing
you
that I would
didn't
be
have to
curious
do,
about.
virtual strikes against them.
No,
You could just stop and like, hey, we're done.
Well, here's the thing that I would be curious about is the consequences of peace. Would be their society is set up in a way that they're prepared to lose 3 million people a year. So if you go back and you visit them in 20 years, is their planet now overpopulated? Do they have too many people and not enough jobs? Like, are they having a food issue now?
Yeah, see, I like.
Didn't they say that they're able to travel past their solar system? So you think they would start exploring?
Yeah, but they didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't want to. They could have anytime they wanted to. They didn't want to.
But then what if they start exploring and that just leads to them going on a conquest to conquer other planets and fucking other civilizations? Like, there are untold consequences of what the Federation has done for this.
Yeah, so I just
think.
True, but you could also look at it the opposite way. Like maybe the broker of peace between the two worlds will lead to a stronger alliance with maybe like the Federation to take on the Borg in the future. Or
but here's the issue though.
whatnot.
You're risking the bad by messing up something that's working. So it's like I know this over here is working a certain way. You're risking the bad when the bad didn't need to be risked at all. Like you didn't need to go in there and do all that stuff. I'm not thinking about the.
I agree with you, but I agree with you. But from my point of view, like what they were doing wasn't good either. Like it was a very messed up system.
See, that's I'm going on a rant right now with that. But messed up to you though. Messed up to you.
I think that's the whole
I
argument,
agree
yeah.
from my point. I agree with what you're saying from my point of view.
Yeah, but
from their point of view, like, hey, this is a good thing, but I don't know. I get where you are coming from.
Yeah, it's not messed up to you though.
It's basically that like we see that their system is fucked up, and they see it as, hey, it works for us, so like just stay out of it. And yeah, they probably should have just fucking stayed out of like as dumb as that fucking system is. Yes, they probably should have just stayed out of it. I think that's like where we kind of end up with that.
I also had it. I guess also I felt stronger before because I saw it like those worlds invited the Federation in to help broker a peace treaty. I didn't realize like, hey, we're just gonna go there.
Right.
I must have missed that earlier on in the episode.
Yeah. They were just like, hey, like let's go stick our nose where it doesn't belong.
Yeah, even after they invited them, and it's in a. If I invite you over, then you coming over like, hey, don't come over. Then you come over anyway. I still should be like, yo, don't come over because the message said don't. The message said don't come. Like I changed my mind. I don't want to deal with it. So it's like, I don't know. It's just I don't really go on a huge rant, guys. You know how I get, but
a number out of 10 on this one, Paul.
Oh my bad. I want to apologize for my big rant, fellas.
No,
I
that's
don't
what
know.
we're here for the discussion. I mean, that's what this show
I
is.
think it's just, I don't know, 8, 9, 7. I'm so in the middle of it.
Yeah,
Will I watch the episode again? Yes, actually. I would watch the episode again just to refuel my anger of the whole situation. But at the same time, there was I was so halfway through the episode, I was getting more and more anger about certain things I saw going on that I was like, oh, okay, I want to say this, want to say that. So it's like, so thought-provoking, I give it a 10. Quality of the episode, I give it a 10. But the acting and the way the story is written, like a 2. So it's like, man, it's all right, man.
I agree
right.
with you on the first 2 rating, Pauls, but the last one, I'd give it about like a 5 or 6.
Okay. Yeah, see,
we're just going to go ahead and move on and say fuck it. The next episode that we're going to cover is Season 1, Episode 24, This Side of Paradise. Paul, you got a description for me on that?
Yep. The Enterprise visits a colony where indigenous, wow, I hate that word. Let's try to start over again. Huh? The Enterprise visits a colony where indigenous flower spores provide the settlers with peaceful contentment. So I'm assuming that they got some drugs in the house.
I assume Kirk's going to show up and start cutting down flowers and fuck up their civilization.
They got some devil's lettuce. Some of that good, good. And Kirk's gonna go in there and be like, "Oh, how dare you? We're drug free around here. We don't. How dare you use these drugs to make your life better?
You're destroying our ganj.
How dare you?" Oh man.
For me, Paramount shows the next like 5 episodes in a row, and 4 of the 5 of them are screenshots of Spock. So I don't know if they're like all Spock heavy episodes coming up, but
actually,
it'll be interesting to see.
No.
Are you saying that Spock is going to smoke some green?
That would be interesting to see.
Actually, okay. Every episode says I kind of skip ahead. It says Kirk and Spock. That's a 3 out of 5. Say Kirk and Spock.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us for this time. As always, we're on Twitter at WWST_podcast, Gmail, WWSTpod@gmail.com. And we're everywhere, on everything, every platform, almost. Yeah, once again, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time.
All right, later.
Later.